I'm broadcasting now on YouTube. Okay, so let's see where we are here in the Bhagavad. Okay, so we are on 4:12:52. So we have heard about the Falashruti of hearing the pastime of Dhruva Maharaj, what will happen. So, what will happen? Acquires, anyone who hears this narration of Dhruva Maharaj acquires exalted qualities like him. So means will become a great devotee, like Dhruva Maharaj. Anyone who hears the narration of Dhruva Maharaj and who repeatedly tries with faith and devotion to understand his pure character attains the pure devotional platform and executes pure devotional service. So will become pure devotees like him. By such activities, one can diminish the threefold miseries and miserable conditions of material life. So you become pure devotee, then you will not feel any misery in this material world, and you go out of the cycle of birth and death to the eternal realm. So that way, okay. So 4:12:52. Idam mayate bihitam kurudvaha dhruvasya vikhyata vishuddha karmana hitvarpaka kridanakani matur griham cha vishnu sharanam yo jagama. The transcendental activities of Dhruva Maharaj are well known all over the world, and they are very pure. In childhood, Dhruva Maharaj rejected all kinds of toys and playthings, left the protection of his mother, and seriously took shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. My dear Vidura, I therefore conclude this narration, for I have described to you all its details. So Dhruva Maharaj, he didn't follow the ordinary course of activities, how children do, because an incident happened in his life, and that motivated him to seek help of Vishnu, and then he attained all perfection. It is said by Chanakya Pandit that life is certainly short for everyone. So if you want to make spiritual advancement, you should think that life is very short. But if one acts properly, his reputation will remain for a generation. If you behave properly, then of course after our death, reputation doesn't mean anything, because once you are out of the body, then that's all, that's done. Maybe the liberated souls, they can, like Prabhupada, they can see. But for ordinary conditioned souls, we just transmigrate from one body to another, and then everything is lost. So we don't even remember who I was in my last life or anything like that. As the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna is everlastingly famous. So the reputation of Lord Krishna's devotee is also everlasting. Like we are talking about Narottam Das Thakur and Rupa Goswami and Srila Prabhupada and all other great devotees, even after many years. Therefore, in describing Dhruva Maharaj's activities, two specific words have been used: Vikhyat, very famous, and Vishuddha, transcendental. Dhruva Maharaj living home at a tender age and taking shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the forest is a unique example in this world. Nobody did like this. Just like we say what Prabhupada did was also unprecedented. Nobody did what Prabhupada did, right? I mean, to make so many devotees all over the world. So Dhruva Maharaj is a unique example of a 5-year-old boy undergoing so much austerity. It's unbelievable how he did. Okay, so now we are going to read the description of the descendants of Dhruva Maharaj. So we'll just read the verse. Sutta Goswami continuing to speak to all the rishis, headed by Shaunak, said, after hearing Maitreya Rishi describe Dhruva Maharaj's ascent to Lord Vishnu's abode, Vidura became very much enlightened in devotional emotion. And he inquired from Maitreya as follows. So Vidura is very eager to hear, Maitreya Rishi is very eager to speak, and he became very emotional after hearing the story of Dhruva Maharaj. So he is asking Vidura is asking Maitreya what that we'll read in the next verse. As evidenced in the topics between Vidura and Maitreya, the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the devotees are so fascinating that neither the devotee who is describing them nor the devotee who is hearing is at all fatigued by the inquiries and answers. So Krishna Katha can go on and on. Transcendental subject matter is so nice that no one becomes tired of hearing or speaking. When you got taste in hearing and in speaking about Krishna, there is no cessation. Others who are not devotees may think, how can people devote so much time simply to talks of God? But devotees are never satisfied or satiated in hearing and speaking about the Supreme Personality of Godhead or about his devotees. So they want to hear more. Just there is greed, like transcendental greed, just like there is greed in this world for money and for so many things. So those who are those who got a taste in hearing Krishna Katha, they want to hear more and more, and they want to speak more and more. The more they hear and talk, the more they become enthusiastic to hear. So initially we may not believe. So at least, every day for some time we should hear, because then our tendency to hear will increase more and more. Our interest in hearing will increase more after some time. So then we will hear lectures during the day also. But at least in the beginning there is regulated. Like a child does not like to go to school in the beginning, but the parents push him, no, you have to go to school. Then he starts liking it after some time. It is with every activity, even bad activities. If you keep doing it, then you will start liking it. Bad habits also is like that. So good habits, we are supposed to cultivate good habits. And good habits also, if we do everyday japa, then we will look forward to japa in the morning. Oh, this is nice. And initially there is not so much taste. But then we feel like, no, this is good to do morning japa, this is very nice. And then, of course, like we are going to Mangalarati every Saturday. Right? So when we feel good about it, then we say, why only Saturday? We should do every day. And then it will become more and more and like that. And then taste will increase and then like that. So then we will feel, why not all the time? Like Prabhupada said, like effect of chanting is more chanting. So Krishna comes in like a needle and takes away a whole. Devotees just say, no, you do one round. Like Keshav Maharaj was saying. Right? Just add Krishna to your life. Then slowly and gradually it comes to a point where you think, no, I should surrender my whole life to Krishna. So it starts very small and then Krishna takes very big. Like Maya also is like that, we say. It starts small. Everything is like that. But then it takes a whole lot of our time. So we have to be careful in where we want to, invest our time. So we want to invest our time in Krishna because that is the worthwhile thing to do. Other things we have done in other lifetimes, all other lifetimes. So this life should be given to Krishna, as Prabhupada told Bhakti Charu Maharaj. You have enjoyed for so many lifetimes in different ways, but this life you should give for Krishna. And if you think about it, for older people like me, so much lifetime has already been gone. So at least another 15, 20 years, whatever is left of life, why not give that to Krishna? So in that way, we can think. And then anyway, death is going to come anyhow. Whether you're a devotee or you're a non-devotee, death is going to come. As sure as death, Prabhupada said. So we have to leave this world, that is for certain. We can't be here around forever. So death is going to come, so why not just whatever time we have, give to Krishna. So invest time in Krishna. Like that verse we were discussing yesterday. Tasya heto prayate takovito nalabhyate yad brahmatam upariyada tallabhyate dukhavadanyata sukham kalena sarvatra gaviraransa. Says that material happiness and distress come and go, and just like distress, you don't try, you are getting distress, so happiness will come. But one should try for something which he didn't get, wandering throughout the universe in different species of life, and that is Krishna consciousness. So we should try for Krishna consciousness. Other things will come and go in this world. So, of course, our material situation will affect our time that we have for spiritual life. So Prabhupada says we should not create a cumbersome situation in which the purpose of life will not be fulfilled. So we should not create a very complicated material situation in which we forget Krishna and then we become too much absorbed. So like that we have to simplify so that we have enough, we have to work, so enough just so that we can sustain ourselves and then dedicate all time. But if you have a job and you are dedicating your job to Krishna, you are giving all the money to Krishna, then it's also devotional service. But generally that's not the case. So and also if you're Brahminical, you don't like to work with computers and machines and in the corporate environment, generally speaking, right? Because it's not like very devotee association. And so all this technology, Prabhupada said like the technology is meant for the Shudras. So, so if you're Brahminically inclined, then you don't like to work in this kind of situation. You like to be around devotees talking about Krishna, chanting Krishna's names, sharing Krishna consciousness with others like that. So, but it doesn't matter even if you have that kind of mentality where you want to become technologist, then you can use your work to serve Krishna. The fruits of your work and your work, if you are a technologist, maybe you can do web design and all this, then you can use that to propagate Krishna consciousness. So like that. Krishna says anybody can attain perfection. Mabhi partha vipashritya yepishu papayoniyo. Papayonaya striyo vaishya tatha shudras tepi yanti param gati. Anybody can come to him if they surrender to him. So it doesn't matter. Arjuna is a Kshatriya and he surrendered to Krishna. So anybody who surrenders to Krishna. As evidence in the topics between Vidura and Maitreya, the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, this we read. But devotees are never satisfied. The more they hear and talk, the more they become enthusiastic to hear. The chanting of Hare Krishna mantra is simply the repetition of 3 words, Hare Krishna and Ram. But still devotees can go on chanting this Hare Krishna mantra 24 hours a day. without feeling fatigued. Prabhupada is talking from a pure devotional platform that, yeah, the chanting of Hare Krishna is so nice that one will never feel tired. Okay, and this is spiritual. So, material, we say material happiness decreases with time, whereas spiritual happiness increases with time. So, and there is no limit. Okay, so the next verse. Any comments anybody has on this verse?
Prabhuji, how old are you?
I'm. How much do you think I am?
Oh, 50.
Yeah, 53.
Yeah, then you're very young.
So that's how it is. So after 50, you're old man. Even, but we don't know if Prabhupada said what is the definition of old. Who can say what is the definition of old?
Who's closer to death is old.
One is closer to death. So 30, 35-year-old person may be older than a 60-year-old person. If he's going to die in 40 years, then he's only 5 years to live. Whereas somebody who is 60 is going to live 80. He's not old because we don't know how old we are, how close we are to death. So many young people also die. So Prabhupada was saying, somebody asked him, why do you give a sannyas to young people? A sannyas is meant for old people. And then Prabhupada says, who is old? One who is closer to death. Can you say who is closer to death? A 30-year-old may be closer to death than a 50-year-old. So he is older. So like that, Prabhupada had a very genius way of, defeating all misconceptions when people would say like that, yeah. And generally we say our our life, we should, what is that? Yeah, when we want to study something, we would start studying when we are young, not when we are old, right? Of course, in this country, you can keep on studying even at 50 years, you can start a degree. But generally, we take our education and we finish our education when we are young. Because at that age, we can absorb a lot. Young, like a child can learn so many languages because they have that absorption. Krishna is made like that. Child can learn three languages. If we have to learn three, four languages, while now, if we didn't know it before, if you have to learn French or German or something like that, then Russian, it's very difficult at this point. But a child easily learns. So at that age, our brain is like a sponge. It absorbs very. So that's why education should begin from very early age. And spiritual life should begin from very early age. Kaumaram acharit pragyo dharman bhagvataniha durlabham manusham janma. Durlabham manusham janma. Is it Durlabham manusham janma?
Tadapi Dhruvam Arthadam.
Tadapi.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there is another verse. Durlabham Manusha Deho Dehinam Shubham.
Vaikuntha Priya Darshanam. So like that, our life is very short, and it should begin from an. And we don't know if you say I will become 50, then I will surrender to Krishna. You will not live. You don't know you will live to 50. So time is now. We should not. And Maya makes us procrastinate, and gives us the illusion that no, you have a long life. You are going to live. When I'm 50, 55, 60, then I will. But who knows what will happen? We may get cancer. We may get some disease, and then we can't serve Krishna. Another way to think is when we want to offer to Krishna, we want to offer a fresh mango, right? We don't want to offer a rotten mango. So fresh mango means when you are in your youth, when you have energy, you should serve Krishna. When you are old and then also Krishna accepts, but at that point, your you can't see, your teeth is falling, and your everything, all the senses have become weak, you don't have any energy, then you serve at that point. No, you should serve when you are young. So, of course, if you didn't serve, then at least serve when you are old, right? That's there. So, and the mind never becomes old. So, if we never trained our mind in young age, then it will never become. At the old age, you cannot suddenly switch. You cannot flip a switch and say, now I'll become very Krishna conscious. No, because the mind you have cultivated for so many years in a certain way, it's very difficult now to suddenly become interested in Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, all old people would be very Krishna conscious. They would be like chanting whole day, and they would be like hearing about Krishna. They would have great interest. Instead, they are watching TV, and they are like involved with their family affairs and like that. They're just in all these things. So they are not so interested because they didn't cultivate in their. Or they're playing golf, like that Prabhupada would say. In old age, now they're playing golf. Everybody thinks that retirement, after retirement, is the golden years of life. When we don't have to work, now I can enjoy. I've worked very hard for my whole life. I've saved enough. Now I can enjoy. This is the life to enjoy. So they say like that. Retirement, the golden years of your life. And like that. So what is happening is that even the remaining years of your life, you are not thinking about Krishna. You're not thinking about who you are, why you are in this, death is coming, nothing like that. Because it gives enjoyment, whatever, you go on vacation and like that. Some people say, now we are old, now we are retired, now we only want to travel. So they travel. Travel is another form of sense gratification. Going here and there. Of course, if you are going to spread Krishna consciousness, that's good. But this is kind of, sense enjoyment. Going here, seeing this place and seeing that place. And so, like that. That's how travel industry is making money, right? So many people are going on cruise and all these things. So there are so many ways to forget Krishna and the goal of life. As Amok Leela Prabhu was saying one time, right? We say this is Dukhalayam, but there are so many things to enjoy in this world. Maya has given us so many avenues, right? You can enjoy. And now with technology, they have made all artificial things like Disney World and Universal Studios and the roller coaster rides and all that, which are all meant to give enjoyment. Previously, there was nothing like that. Now with technology, so much facility for enjoyment. So now you can keep going and with all the social media and Facebook and like that. So you can keep going in that direction and then never think about what is the purpose of life. So it's easy to get association now, right, on Facebook and so internet and like that. So we can chat and gossip and spend our life like that without understanding. And those whom with we are interacting, they also don't know what is the goal of life. Most people don't know in this world. So then prajalpa happens. So like that, it wastes our time. Every moment of human life is very precious, and it is meant for self-realization. So, and there is happiness in self-realization. So we are not saying that self-realization means you depriving yourself of happiness. So there is happiness in self-realization. So this is what the way we are supposed to find happiness through devotional service. So that is and those who are happy in devotional service, they can do it 24 hours, as Prabhupada says. They can do it 24 hours without being fatigued. Just like people work for 50, 60 years without being fatigued, right? Every day, the same grind. You go to the daily grind of 8 to 5, 9 to 5, and then some vacation here and there. But so many days, it's a daily grind. How can you do for 30, 40 years kind of thing? Yeah, because it's a necessity you have to support. So the devotees do the same thing every day, chanting Hare Krishna. And Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Haribol.
Vidura Uvacha Kete Prachetaso Nama Kashypatyani Surata Kashyana Vayaye Prakhyatah Kutra Vashatra Masata. Vidura inquired from Maitreya, O greatly advanced devotee, who were the Prachetas? To which family did they belong? Whose sons were they, and where did they perform the greatest sacrifices? So now the story shifts to Prachetas. Because I think previously it was mentioned about Prachetas in some verse that Narad Muni, after um, hearing about Dhruva Maharaj, or then he went to see the Prachetas. So now Vidura he has picked up on that, and then he's asking. Yeah, after observing the glories of Dhruva Maharaj, the great sage Narada, playing his veena, went to the sacrificial arena of the Prachetas and very happily chanted the following three verses. So now he's asking about, who are the Prachetas? They are all spiritually advanced, so he wants to know. The great Narada, singing in the previous chapter of the three verses in the sacrificial arena of the Prachetas, gave another impetus to Vidura to ask further questions. So Vidura is hearing very carefully what Maitreya is speaking, and he wants to know more. Manye Mahabhagavatam Naradam Deva Darshanam Yena Prokta Kriya Yoga Paricharya Vidirhare. Vidura continued, I know that the great sage Narada is the greatest of all devotees. He has compiled the Pancharatrika, procedure of devotional service, and has directly met the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There are two different ways of approaching the Supreme Lord. One is called Bhagavat Marg, or the way of Srimad Bhagavatam, and the other is called Pancharatrika Vidhi. Pancharatrika Vidhi is the method of temple worship, and Bhagavad Vidhi is the system of 9 processes which begin with hearing and chanting. So temple worship means deity worship, like that, and Bhagavad Vidhi is Shravanam Kirtanam. The Krishna consciousness movement accepts both processes simultaneously and thus enables one to make steady progress on the path of self-realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sometimes Prabhupada says there are two railway tracks on which a train runs. There are parallel tracks. So we have Panchara temple seva, and there is Shravanam Kirtanam and spreading of the hearing chanting in there. Sometimes he says of the two, Bhagavad Vidhi is more important, but both should go on simultaneously. This Pancharatrika procedure, like Prabhupada said one time, this book distribution should go on, even if we have to shut down the temples and everything. This book distribution should go on. So, let me see the quote from Prabhupada on this. Of course, that's why Prabhupada created a separate branch. So Prabhupada on book distribution, there are so many books. Means the propagation of Krishna consciousness should not stop. Of course, we are not saying that we should not have temples. But if there is something, then he says like that. It does not matter even if we have got a temple, but if the preaching work goes on, that is great satisfaction. Your Sankirtan movement is going on with no house, so there is no cause of lamentation. You must go on with Sankirtan and selling our literature, never mind there is temple or not. Actually, it is a fact that ultimately everyone should preach and distribute books if they want to please me in the best way. Book distribution must be given stress always. He has spoken the right thing. If you do this sincerely, it is a fact that Krishna will supply everything else required. So devotees will come. I blindly follow my Guru Maharaj. I do not know what is the result. So I am stressing on this point of book distribution. Of course, now there is digital. So he told me this personally. Book distribution is Bhagavad Marg and temple worship is Pancharatrika Vidhi. Both are important for cultivating Vaishnavism, but comparatively speaking, Bhagavad Marg is more important than Pancharatrika Vidhi. As far as possible, both should go on in parallel lines, but still, Bhagavad Marg is more important than the other. So you are all intelligent boys, you should judge the desire of my Guru Maharaj and help me in that way. Of course, now people don't read books. So, if one wants to be recognized by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he must preach the glories of the Lord. One who worships the deity must therefore be extremely respectful to preachers. Otherwise, simply worshipping the deity will keep one in the lower stage of devotion. Whenever there is a possibility to worship the deity, we may establish many centers. But generally, we should give more stress to distribution of transcendental literature, for this will be more effective in converting people to Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness preachers should give more stress to Sankirtan movement, means going out and especially by distributing transcendental literature more and more. This helps the Sankirtan movement. So, because his Guru Maharaj told him that whenever you get money, you print books. And all the temples were built because they collected so much money. Book distribution was going on at that time on such a large scale, and so much money was that they got big temples and everything. So that's how.
Also, Bhakti Saraswati Thakur would say book distributions like Brahad Mridanga, right? Mridanga in the temple can be heard only for a short distance, but these books can change so many lives. Those people who are not coming to the temple,
Right.
and devotees are reaching out.
Nice. Yeah. He called the printing press as the Brihad Mridanga because it can go far and wide. These books can go travel. Who knows who will read the book and become a devotee. There have been instances where some book was given to somebody. He didn't read, but somebody else, his friend, got it and he became a devotee. It was lying on the shelf for many years. But then one day somebody opened it and then they took interest in Krishna consciousness like that. So that is there. Yeah. We are not minimizing anything. All services are equally important. This is some quotes from Prabhupada. So generally we think whatever service we are doing is very important and like that. So, but it's not. That's not how we want to see. Everybody is serving and everybody is doing according to their interest. Okay, so and whichever service we do, it is the consciousness behind the service that determines our spiritual advancement. Like Prabhupada says, the attitude. Advancement in Krishna consciousness depends on the attitude of the follower. So whether you are reading Bhagavatam or you are sweeping the temple or anything, it's just the consciousness behind. If you are thinking I'm doing it to please Krishna, to please Srila Prabhupada, then that's the perfect consciousness. I'm not doing for anything else, but to please Krishna. Krishna likes it, so I'm doing it. Prabhupada likes it, so I'm doing it. Or the devotees like it, so I'm doing it. So that's how we are. Our consciousness should be like to please. And then whether we get result or we don't get result is immaterial. Because material result doesn't matter. Whether we get books out or not, we tried. So that's more important. And that's doing things in the right consciousness or with the right attitude changes our consciousness. So otherwise, if we do things in the wrong consciousness, then it will not. We may get material result, but it may not change our internal consciousness. So We want to change our internal consciousness. That's the main thing in Krishna consciousness, is to change our consciousness to Krishna consciousness. So always thinking of Krishna. Krishna conscious means you're always conscious of Krishna. Conscious of God means always remembering Krishna. If you are conscious of something, then we are remembering. So, okay. So that's the so Pancharatric procedure was first introduced by, and we follow Narada Pancharatrika Vidhi in temple worship. So next verse. While all the prachetas were executing religious rituals and sacrificial ceremonies and thus worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead for his satisfaction, the great sage Narada described the transcendental qualities of Dhruva Maharaj. So he came there, he was singing the glories of Dhruva Maharaj, his own disciple. And he was going everywhere, and he came to the sacrificial arena where prachetas were doing their religious ceremonies. Narad Muni is always glorifying the pastimes of the Lord. In this verse, we see that not only does he glorify the Lord, but he also likes to glorify the devotees of the Lord. The great sage Narada's mission is to broadcast the devotional service of the Lord. So we should appreciate other devotees and whatever their service they are doing. Vaishnava is, like a honeybee. They say fan the spark, right? Fan the spark. So we should encourage everybody to do. Even there is many faults, but still, whatever we see, that we have faults also, and we are trying. Others are also trying, like that. And we should help, we should appreciate, so that they feel encouraged and they will want to do more to serve Krishna. For this purpose, he has compiled the Narada Pancharatra, a directory of devotional service, so that devotees can always take information about how to execute devotional service and thus engage 24 hours a day in performing sacrifices for the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he has compiled a set of rules and regulations, and as stated in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord has created four orders of social life, namely Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. Chaturvarna Maya Shishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasham. In the Narada Pancharatra, it is very clearly described how each of the social orders can please the Supreme Lord. In Bhagavad Gita, it is stated, Sve Sve Karmanya Abhirata Sansiddhim Labate Naraha. By executing one's prescribed duties, one can please the Supreme Lord. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is also stated, Swanustitasya Dharmasya Sansiddhir Haritoshanam. The perfection of duty is to see that by discharging one's specific duties, one satisfies the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So whatever you are doing, it should result in satisfaction of Supreme Lord. When the Prachetas were performing sacrifices according to this direction, Narad Muni was satisfied to see these activities, and he also wanted to glorify Dhruva Maharaj in that sacrificial arena. Okay, so he was happy. My dear Brahmana, how did Narad Muni glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead? So Vidura is asking Maitreya, oh my dear Brahmana, how did Narad Muni glorify? And what pastimes were described in that meeting? I am very eager to hear of them. Kindly explain fully about that glorification of the Lord. What did Narad Muni say? What did he speak to the Prachetas? Kindly explain, because whatever Narad Muni speaks will be either glorification of the Lord or his devotees. Srimad Bhagavatam is the record of Bhagavad Katha, topics about the pastimes of the Lord. What Vidura was anxious to hear from Maitreya, we can also hear 5,000 years later, provided we are very eager. So Vidura was very eager, and we have that conversation, what happened. So, like we say, enthusiasm means eagerness. Enthusiasm, what is the verse? Enthusiasm. What is
Taha Nishadharyat. Verse.
Yeah, correct. Utsaha Nishya Dharyat
तत्तत् कर्म प्रवर्तन संगात्यागत सतोरते सद्भीर भक्तिर प्रसीदति.
So enthusiasm is required.
Confidence and patience.
Enthusiasm without patience is in the
Mode of passion.
and
Patience without enthusiasm is the mode of ignorance.
so and both are connected. The way Rupa Goswami has arranged it is that he has put confidence. Confidence is like Shraddha. Confidence means you have confidence in Krishna's words. So sometimes it is called determination, nishya, utsaha, nishya, dhairya. So he has put this in between because you can only be patient, you can be enthusiastic, but you can only be patient if you have confidence that one day, yeah, it will like Shab. What is the example of somebody who had enthusiasm and patience simultaneously?
Shabri.
Shabri. So, because she had confidence in her Guru's words that, oh, one day Ram will come. So, without faith, then you can't have confidence. So, that is also there. So, Dhruva Goswami has given that. Because generally we have enthusiasm, and if things don't happen, then we give it up. Right? That's the thing. But Krishna's words, yeah, one day it will happen. Krishna will bestow his mercy upon me. One day. Already Krishna has bestowed his mercy. That's why we are able to read Bhagavatam. And we are able to speak and we are able to hear. That means we are able to chant the holy name. We have association of devotees. We have some understanding of Krishna consciousness. All this is Krishna's mercy. So
It's also Asha Bandha, hope. The pastime is that of Mukunda, right? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became angry at him, said, I will not give him a darshan for 1 million years.
correct.
But then he started dancing. Said, okay, after 1 million years, I would be able to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Yeah, we would think 1 million years, my God, I have to take so many births and suffer in this material existence. And so that, but he was thinking, oh, at least after 1 million years. So we have been in this material world for millions and millions of years. Right? I mean, we say age of earth is so many years, but actually there is, this earth has been around since Treta Yuga, right? Treta Yuga means millions of years before. Dwapar Yuga itself is 864,000 years. And then Treta Yuga is double of that, or like 3 times of 430. So we have been through all that ages. So millions of years we have been here. So Jiva has, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, patience is there. However, Brahma Samhita also says that highest devotion is attained in slow degrees by the method of constant endeavor with the help of scriptural evidence. So we should see changes. We should be, every day or every Ekadashi, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, we should evaluate whether we are doing more or better than previous Ekadashi. So there should be some increase in intensity and quality and quantity.
Just like in our material life, we want to be at a higher salary, right? Than we were at 5 years before or 10 years before. So like that, yeah. Spiritual life, we have to evaluate our situation and see, take a stock of our situation, take inventory of the situation, and see. And even if we are not making, at least the desire is increasing. If the desire is increasing that I should surrender to Krishna, that's also very good. Because one day, like yesterday we were hearing Keshav Maharaj, he says, one name of Krishna is enough to eradicate all sinful reactions. But to chant that one name of Krishna, You have to uh, chant so many mantras. So to come to the point of surrendering to Krishna sometimes requires great penance. Although Prabhupada says, you can surrender in a moment, but that for that one moment, we may have to go through like some experiences, some life, some struggles, and then at some point it just clicks, and then we say, "No, I'm done. This is this is the truth." And Krishna will give that aha moment, also. Oh, this is the one. I. It happens like the bulb goes on, and then like it happened with who? Bilva Mangal Thakur. So Chintamani, that whole bulb went on. So like that, we are supposed to surrender to Krishna and give our life to Krishna. But we are thinking, and still not happening. Then one day, because we have been thinking about it and we are trying and trying, and then so one day Krishna will just. And of course, we should, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur, as you were saying, that, we should also measure our progress so that we can improve constantly in our spiritual life. So, like my chanting today should be better than what I chanted yesterday. Like that, my devotional quality of devotional service should be more nicer than what I was doing before. My absorption in Krishna should be more than. And sometimes you feel like discouraged also because it's not like going so like rapidly as much as we want. So then we can, as you were saying, highest devotion is attained in slow degrees. So we have to be patient. And and as Maharaj was saying yesterday, that at some point it's not just, you can't just make it with your knowledge and all these things. You have to really pray to Krishna. You have to cry to Krishna. Then Krishna, and that's, he was saying like that. It doesn't work just by our own effort. And that doesn't mean we don't have to do our effort, but sometimes, many times we fall short and things like that. So we have to really pray to Krishna and express our helplessness and like that. So then, Krishna, I'm suffering in this material existence and still I'm not getting it. Krishna, please help, please help. So like that. You give me the realization, you give me the taste in your devotional service. I want taste. So we are begging Krishna, please give me some taste for serving you. Like we say, please engage me in your service, means give us some taste to do your service, basically. So then I'll do service if I have taste. So, of course, sometimes we say whether taste or no taste, we should just serve to give pleasure to Krishna. So that is also there. But that also, that kind of, everything comes from Krishna only. He responds to our desires. Krishna is responding to our desires. So if there is intense desire, then Krishna responds also very, very much, like according to Ye yatha mam prapadyante tans tathaiva bhajamiham. So it's a question of intensity of desire. Okay, so and we become tired of this material existence. And at some point we say, Krishna, I'm just so worn out by this. Just, Krishna, please help me. Correct? Is that correct? To really pray like that to Krishna.
Yes.
Like Rupa Goswami says, right? I have no taste. Although he says Tunde Tandavani, he says in that verse, he says, O Gopijan Vallabh, I have no taste for even those things that will give love for you. Because I am so he's maybe taking part of a condition. So although he has says taste, right? He wrote the Tunde Tandavani verse, but he says, I have no. Sometimes they become so humble. And sometimes they say, we have so much taste in This is so nice. I wish I had millions of years. And other times they say, oh, Krishna, I'm very, very fallen. Don't have any. I'm simply depending on your mercy. So, so like that, somehow or other, yena kena prakarena, yena kena prakarena,
Mana Krishna Nivesha.
somehow or other, we should think of Krishna. So Krishna arranges situations in our life also to become so that we completely depend on Him and take His shelter and just remember Him always, right? So, like, yeah. So so all things are happening to push us towards Krishna, basically. Ultimately, the material world is set up like that to push us towards Krishna. The great sage Maitreya replied, my dear Vidura, when Maharaj Dhruva departed for the forest, his son Utkal did not desire to accept the opulent throne of his father, which was meant for the ruler of the land of this planet. Okay, we'll stop here. 53. So his son Utkal did not want to rule. This happens because they don't want to. Because it says from his very birth, we'll read tomorrow, he was very satisfied and unattached to the world. Okay, so it's a problem now. Who will rule the kingdom? Because Dhruva Maharaj is going away and then to the forest. So in the beginning also he went to the forest, 5 years of age, and then at the end of his life also he went to the forest. Okay, for spiritual advancement, like completely dedicating. Okay, anything else anybody like to say? So should we hear some song or something? You want to share anything?
I can sing a song. Please time.
Okay.
Okay. Narottam Das Thakur. Gauranga karuna karo dinaheen जाने मौसम पतित प्रभु नाही त्रिभुवाने दंते त्रन धरी गरा डाकी है तुम्हारे कृपा करिए श्यामर हृदय मंदिरे जदि दया न करिबे पतित देखिया पतित पावन नाम किसेरा लागिया पड़े छे भव तूफाने नहीं को निस्तारा श्री चरण तरणी दाने दासे कर पारा श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु दासे अनुदासा प्रार्थना करो ए सदा नरोत्तम दासा गौरांग करुणा करो दीनहीन जाने मशम पतित प्रभु नाही त्रिभुवाने हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Translation. O my dear Lord Gauranga, please show your mercy to this lowly and destitute soul. O Lord, there is no one more fallen than myself in all the three worlds. Holding grass between my teeth, O Lord Gaura, I am calling out to you now. Please be compassionate upon me and come to reside within the temple of my heart. If you do not give your mercy, seeing how fallen I am, then why are you known as Patita Pavan, the merciful savior of the fallen? I am plunged amidst the violent, hurricane stricken waves in the ocean of this material world, from which there is no escape. Kindly give me the gift of your divine lotus feet, which are compared to a boat in which your servant may cross over the ocean of birth and death. Narottam Das, the servant of Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu, ceaselessly makes this prayer. So, as we were discussing, this is the humility of a devotee. He's saying that there is no one more fallen than me. I am very fallen. Um, Everybody is more advanced than me. So, I need your compassion and mercy. If you don't give me mercy, then why would you be called Patita Pavan? You, like in another song, he says, I'm more fallen than Jaga and Madai. Jaga and Madai got your mercy, but I've still not gotten it. Like that. And he's saying that, I'm fallen in this ocean of birth and death. There's a violent hurricane stricken waves. There is danger at every step. That's what we should feel in this material world. We are fallen in an ocean and there's violent hurricane stricken waves around us. Anytime we can be drowned. Uh, there is no escape. But as in Shikshashtakam also, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saying, Ai Nanda Tanuja Kinkaram, Patitama Vishme Bhavam Buddho, Kripya Tava Pad Pankaja Sthita Dhuli Sadrisham Vichintaya. That please pick me up from this ocean of birth and death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. So give me your merciful hand. Also, your lotus feet are like the boat through which I can cross this ocean of birth and death. Samashritaye padapalaplavam Mahatpadam Punya Yasho Murari Bhavam Buddhim Vatsa Param Padam 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 Yad Vipadam Na Tesham. So this also says that the lotus feet of Krishna are the boat by which we can cross the ocean of material world as easily as one steps over the hoof print of a calf. Like the ocean is converted into just water in the hoof print. It becomes very small. Means easily a devotee is able to cross this ocean. They have to keep their mind on the lotus feet of the Lord. And this is the prayer of Narottam Das. There are several other verses which talks about boat. How we can, what other boats are there. What is that verse? The hearing of Harikatha, how does it start? Is also a boat.
Sansara Sindhumati.
Sansara Sindhumati Dushtaramati Tirsho Nanya Plavo Bhagavata Purushottamasya Lila Katharasa Nishevnam Antarena Pumsa Bhaved Vivada Dukha Davarditasya. That cultivating taste for hearing the narrations of Krishna is also a suitable boat. That we won't even know that time has come for us to leave this world because we are so busy and we are so engaged, absorbed in hearing Harikatha and chanting Krishna's name that we can easily pass our time in this material world, which is a very troublesome place. Very joyfully we can pass. As this Parikshit Maharaj was hearing Bhagavatam, he stopped eating, he stopped drinking, he wouldn't even sleep because he's so absorbed and he engaged in hearing this Harikatha. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So it's 8 o'clock. I'll just read one quote from Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati on chanting. Then we'll stop.
We
We'll
can go
chant.
till 8:30.
Okay, you can go on. Okay, so every Wednesday, Tuesday, 8 to 9 a.m. Okay. It is necessary that you call on him loudly, uttering the Mahamantra. When you loudly recite Sri Krishna's names and keep track of the number of times that they are uttered, then all evils are steadily overcome. So much hope giving, right? If we chant loudly Krishna's names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, and keep a track of the number of times, 16 at least, and then more. then all the evils are steadily overcome. So Krishna's name will remove all the anarthas in our heart, and everything will become completely purified. All evils are steadily overcome, and lethargy vanishes with all of its concomitant defects. So at that time, even persons who are of antagonistic nature, apathetic to Hari, will be forced to give up their mockery. So even it will make the inimical favorable. Those who come to scoff will remain to pray with you. So chanting of Krishna's name is so powerful that it will remove all the anarthas. We should not doubt that this chanting will give me all perfection. So we should take shelter of the holy name in this age, right? More and more. Chant our way back home, back to Godhead. So, and here, chant to remain inspired in chanting, we have to hear about chanting. So, more enthusiastic will become about. Prabhupada says 24 hours we should chant. So, like that. And we always remain like in this consciousness, as in the song. Trinadapi sunichena tarorapi sahishnuna amanina manadina kirtaniya sadahari. So then we can chant because we are not concerned with prestige and anything else. We are just concerned with pleasing Krishna and pleasing the devotees. So we offer respects to all the devotees, we serve them, and then we are able to be very happy. If you are Trinadapi Sunichena and you give respect to everybody, you will be loved by everybody. Right? Because that's a natural thing, right? And then you feel very happy because you are around people, loving people like that. So you feel very happy. So, and you also, the more we give our love to the devotees also, of course, devotees love without unconditionally. Those who are advanced devotees, they are like that. So, yeah, so this way we will feel very blissful in
Mhm.
loving exchange between devotees, right? That is one of the, yeah.
And this humility comes because we understand that whatever we are able to do is by mercy of Krishna.
Hmm.
Whatever taste we have, I mean, we are able to get up and chant the holy name because Krishna is giving me mercy, and He can take it away anytime also.
Yeah,
So always staying in that humble mood. Okay, I am acting on mercy. I mean, it's all mercy of Krishna through which I am able to do anything.
correct. Yes. Like I was saying, mercy is already there on us because we are able to chant every day. That's the mercy, right? We are able to read Srimad Bhagavatam.
Yeah, but if we are not in a humble mood or we are proud that, oh, I am doing this, I am better than others, then that mercy can be taken away.
Correct.
So we stay in that humble mood that I'm acting on mercy and it can be taken away. Like, taste for chanting or taste for coming to service in the temple. Where is that coming from? That's mercy of Radharani.
Correct. Yeah, without mercy, uh, Krishna is giving his mercy, so I am able to chant the holy name every day. That's how we should think. So I have some inspiration to chant. Of course, we heard from Srila Prabhupada, and so ultimately the devotees, like Prabhupada's books, we are reading. So Krishna's mercy is coming through the parampara from the devotees to us. So we are having the inspiration, right? Reading Prabhupada's books and Prabhupada's Vani. So that is,
Yeah. So if in pride we commit an offense, automatically that taste for reading the book, opening the book, going to the temple, being in the association of devotees, that goes away. So we stay in that humble mood. So uh, to avoid committing offenses.
yeah, that is a important thing that when we offend, make offenses to devotees and like that, then our taste decreases. things. And that example is that of Saubari Muni, right? He offended. Who did he offend?
Even Shobari Muni, he offended Garuda. Ramachandra Puri also,
Hmm.
he offended his spiritual master. And then he started finding faults in all the devotees.
Hmm. Yeah. He criticized Madhavendra Puri, saying, why are you lamenting? You should be in Brahman realization. But there is transcendental lamentation, which he didn't understand. Of course, na sochati na kangshati is there. That is material. There is material lamentation, but there is transcendental lamentation. Oh, I could not serve Krishna nicely. Oh, oh Lord of Mathura, like that. Some Radharani is like that. Dina Daya. So he could not understand that transcendental. He thought this is material lamentation. So,
Yeah. And later he would find faults in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, seeing a lot of ants on the floor. He would say, you're eating too many sweets. A sannyasi is not supposed to eat like that.
and
So,
Mahaprabhu did not retaliate also, right? Mahaprabhu didn't
yeah,
say anything because
he
out of
was so humble.
yeah.
He cut down his eating because this Ramachandra Puri commented he's eating too much, so he cut down on his eating.
And he was the god brother of his spiritual master. So, considering Vaishnava etiquette and the seniority, he did not say anything to Ramchandra Puri. So, Mahaprabhu was very much following Vaishnava etiquette, even though he was criticizing. So, this is the Supreme Lord. But he's showing as a devotee how to, so like that. He even chastised Jagdananda when he advised Sanatan Goswami, you should go to Vrindavan because you came from Vrindavan to see Mahaprabhu. Your mission is fulfilled now. You should go back because you have this disease and Mahaprabhu is touching. And Mahaprabhu was very upset with Jagdananda. He has the audacity to advise you. You are a senior to him. Something like that he said, right? How can Jagdananda? So, okay. So, we can read Chaitanya Charitamrita about Prakashananda Saraswati's deliverance. Here also Mahaprabhu is so humble, right? His pastime. Where does he's sitting where? Where?
People are washing their feet.
Washing their feet. Yeah. Even with Keshav Kashmiri, he defeated him, but when everybody was making fun, then Mahaprabhu prevented everybody, right, from.
Correct.
And he said, no, no, he's a great scholar. He's composed 100 verses in praise of Mother Ganges. Like that. Don't laugh.
Even when the Orishan woman stepped on him, and Govinda criticized her, he stopped Govinda. And it's her eagerness. She wants to see Lord Jagannath, so she doesn't know. She's not in proper external consciousness.
Okay, yeah. So, Shankaracharya, who is an incarnation of Lord Shiva, is faultless because he is a servant carrying out the orders of the Lord. But those who follow his Mayavadi philosophy are doomed. They will lose all their advancement in spiritual knowledge. So he's telling this Mayavad philosophy because once you hear all these things, then it's very difficult to accept that God is a person. Mayavad, Vad means that philosophy or doctrine that everything is Maya. Krishna's form is also Maya. So everything is Maya. Only Brahman is Satya. Jagat Mithya. Like that, there is some philosophy. So one who considers the transcendental body, and this is very famous, this kind of philosophy is very popular. One who considers the transcendental body of Lord Vishnu to be made of material nature is the greatest offender at the lotus feet of the Lord. Like our body is a product of the five elements. So we think Lord's body is also like that. So Mahaprabhu is saying that one who thinks that Lord Vishnu's body is made up of five elements from material nature is the greatest offender. There is no greater blasphemy against the Supreme Personality of Godhead. To think that Krishna's form is material. Like that. Although it appears to be material because he is bleeding and everything, he's hungry but he's just behaving like that. But his form is spiritual. Sambhavami Atma Maya. Ajopi san avyatma bhutanam ishwaropi san prakritim swamadhishtaya. Sambhavami Atma Maya. By my own internal potency I come in my original form. Right? So some people say impersonal has taken, that also Krishna is refuting. Avyakta vyaktimapanna manyate mama buddhaya param bhavam ajananto mamanuttamam uvyayam. So he says, yeah, that is also, some people think that, so all things are refuted in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna has a personal form. His form is Satchidananda, spiritual form. He has no like, we have our body and we have the soul. He has nothing like body and the soul. His form is spiritual. And we in the spiritual world, we also have a form like him. Satchidananda Vigraha. Yeah. The Lord is like a great blazing fire, and the living entities are like small sparks of that fire. So he's telling the philosophy of Achintya Bheda Bhed. We are simultaneously one but different. Somebody's telling me. Hello? Yeah. Okay. How much time? Okay. Okay. Somebody's coming. So we'll just read. The living entities are energies, not the energetic. The energetic is Krishna. This is very vividly described in Bhagavad Gita, the Vishnu Puran, and other Vedic literatures. Besides this inferior energies, O mighty armed Arjun, there is another superior energy of mind which comprises the living entities who are exploiting the resources of this material inferior nature. This is from Bhagavad Gita. Aparayamitastvanyam, aparayamitastvanyam, prakritim vidhime param, jiva bhutam mahabaho, yayedam dharyate jagat. This comes after which verse? This verse comes after.
Bhumi Apornalavayu.
Bhumi Apanalovayu, Khammanobudhi. Krishna describing the eight energies, and then he describes the spiritual energy. He says, so besides these eight energies, there is another energy, which is Paraprakriti, which is the Jiva, which is superior to the material energy. And because it's superior, it can exploit, it can, control the material nature to some degree. So that's what Krishna is saying. So the potency of Lord Vishnu is summarized in three categories, namely the spiritual potency, the living entities, and ignorance. So we can say Tatashta Shakti, Antaranga Shakti, and Bahiranga Shakti. Bahiranga Shakti is ignorance because it causes ignorance. The spiritual potency is full of knowledge. The living entities, although belonging to spiritual potency, are subject to bewilderment. And the third energy, which is full of ignorance, is always visible in fruitive activities. Like Sanatana Goswami, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was teaching to Sanatana Goswami, he says, you should go to seek knowledge in the eastern direction. If you go in the south, you will be bitten by the wasps. Those wasps are the desire for fruitive activities. If you go to the north, you will be beaten by the, I think it's a snake, the black snake. So the black snake represents the impersonal philosophy. And if you go to the west, then you will be bitten, or I think he said, you'll be like influenced by the speculation. So you should go east to. So real wisdom comes from the East, and that is India. India is in the East. The West is full of speculation. So, uh, okay, so is always third energy, which is full of ignorance, is always visible in fruitive activities. The Mayavad philosophy is so degraded that it has taken the insignificant living entities to be the Lord. So they addressed each other as Namo Narayana. You are the Narayan. Everybody is Narayan. The supreme truth, thus covering the glory and supremacy of the absolute truth with monism. So they say everybody is God. And it feels good, right, when you hear that philosophy. I'm God. Yes, very nice. But God means some supreme controller. So are we supreme controller? We can't even control anything in our body. So how we are supreme controller? We want to become God. That's why we came here. So Krishna has given that illusion that yes, everything is belonging to me and I'm in the control of everything. So that Maya has overpowered us. Because to satisfy the desire, the illusion has to be there. In reality, you can't satisfy. So, but we are insisting, no, I want to. So then illusion is created. So that is the Maya's potency. Like in we go to all these video games, it's all illusion, right? It's like we get absorbed in the video game, and we are thinking we are shooting the some enemy tank. We are shooting. There are so many kinds of video games, and then you get pleasure. You are driving in a car race. I used to play one video game. There was a car race, and you are in charge of the car, and you are driving and dodging all the other cars and like that. But there is no car, nothing. It is just an abhas. You are absorbed in that reality, virtual reality, and it's reality because you feel it is true, but it is not really virtual. It is not really there. It's a simulated world. So the illusion makes us identify with the body, and then we think, yes, this is who I am, and this is my country, my nation, my family, everything, my. So, and then everything gets over. As Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj says, death strips away everything that is false. So when death comes, then you are naked. All the false designations, all they start peeling off one by one. Just like an onion, you peel off all the different layers. So everything starts falling apart. So this is the reality. So whole life we can live in an illusion in terms of the false designations. Real designation is I am spirit soul. That's why Prabhupada emphasizes this very much. We have to live life in the real designation. Jivera Swarupai Krishna Nitya Das. That's the real. But we live in life in the conception that I am the body, Ishvara Aham Bhogi. I am the controller, I am the enjoyer. So to shift that consciousness, we require like this powerful practices like chanting the holy name, Krishna's mercy, and devotional service we require. And then by devotional service, then the consciousness shifts. It takes time, but it will shift eventually. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains, okay, we're not reading this. In his Vedanta Sutra, Srila Vyasdeva has described that everything is but a transformation of the energy of the Lord. Shankaracharya, however, has misled the world by commenting that Vyasdeva was mistaken. Thus, he has raised great opposition to theism throughout the entire world. According to Shankaracharya, by accepting the theory of transformation of the energy of the Lord, one creates an illusion indirectly accepting that the absolute truth is transformed. So they say the Lord has transformed, so he no longer is. Everything is very difficult to. Transformation of energy is a proven fact. It is the false bodily conception of the self that is an illusion. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is opulent in all respects. Therefore, by his inconceivable energies, he has transformed the material cosmic manifestation. Using the example of a touchstone, which by its energy turns iron into gold and yet remains the same, we can understand that although the Supreme Personality of Godhead transforms his innumerable energies, he remains unchanged. So he has not transformed. He can transform energies into different ways. But the Mayavad philosophy says no, because the Lord has transformed, so he has also changed like that. Although a touchstone produces many varieties of valuable jewels, it nevertheless remains the same. So touchstone is making everything into gold, but the touchstone itself remains. It does not change its original form. If there is such inconceivable potency in material objects, why should we not believe in the inconceivable potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? The Vedic sound vibration Omkar, the principal word in Vedic literature, is the basis of all Vedic vibrations. Therefore, one should accept Omkar as the sound representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the reservoir of the cosmic manifestation. So, Om is representing, which impersonalists like to chant that Omkar very much. But more personal than Omkar is the Hare Krishna mantra. So, somewhere Prabhupada says like that. Although Om also represents the Supreme Lord. There's a big description of Omkar here.
Why is Mahaprabhu saying this?
Why did you know? Because they are probably more chanting Om. So, the principal one is the basis of all Vedic vibrations. Therefore, one should accept Omkar as the sound representation. Om Prabhupada says here that if one actually understands that Omkar is the sound representation of the Supreme Person, whether one claims chants Omkar or Hare Krishna mantra, the result is certainly the same. So, other places it says that Omkar is chanted by the impersonalists. So, like that. Sometimes Omkar is also called liver. It's the seed. Okay. There is no doubt that the holy name of the Lord or Omkar is the supreme. In other words, anyone who chants Omkar in the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, immediately meets the Supreme Lord. Omkar is the supreme absolute truth. So then somebody may say, I'll chant Om because Om is shorter than Mahamantra. Omkar is as good as Vishnu because Omkar is as all pervasive as Vishnu. One who knows Omkar and Lord Vishnu will be identical. No longer has to. Om, what does it represent? There is the three words, right? They represent three things.
Yeah, it was in the purport. Yur indicates Radharani. Indicates Krishna. A, U, and M indicates Jivas.
Radharani, Krishna. So Krishna, Radharani, and the Jivas. Akar, Om refers to Krishna. Ukar, Om represents Radharani. Thus, Om is the complete combination of Krishna, his potency, and his eternal servitors. Okay, so like that. But Prabhupada didn't tell us to chant Omkar, so we are chanting Hare Krishna. Then, it is the purpose of the Supreme Personality of Godhead to present Pranava as the reservoir of all Vedic knowledge. The word Tattvamasi are only a partial explanation of the Vedic knowledge. Tattvamasi, you are the same spiritual identity. Pranava Omkar is Mahavakya in the Vedas. Shankaracharya's followers covered this to stress without authority the mantra Tattvamasi. Okay. So, in all Vedic sutras and literatures, it is Lord Krishna who is to be understood. Vedesha Sarver Aham Avedyo. But the followers of Shankaracharya have covered the real meaning of Vedas with indirect explanations. The self-evident Vedic literatures are the highest evidence of all. But if all these literatures are interpreted, their self-evident nature is lost. To prove their philosophy, the members of Mayavada school have given up the real, easily understood meaning of the Vedic literature and introduced direct meanings based on their imaginative powers, indirect meanings. So they have given up direct meaning of the verses and they've introduced indirect meaning based on their imagination. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thus showered for each and every sutra the defects in Shankaracharya's explanation, all the assembled Mayavadi sannyasis were struck with wonder. All the Mayavadi sannyasis said, Your Holiness, kindly know from us that we actually have no quarrel with your refutation of these meanings, for you have given a clear understanding of the sutras. So Mahaprabhu convinced them. We know that all this word jugglery springs from the imagination of Shankaracharya, and yet we belong to his sect. We accept it, although it does not satisfy us. Now let us see, the Mayavadi sannyasis continued, how well you can describe the sutras in terms of their direct meaning. So he says, yeah, you are talking about the indirect. Now tell us about the direct meaning. Hearing this, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began his direct explanation of the Vedanta Sutra. Brahman, who is greater than the greatest, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is full in six opulences and therefore is the reservoir of ultimate truth and absolute knowledge. In his original form, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is full with transcendental opulences which are free from the contamination of the material world. So he is describing the personal aspect of the Lord. It is to be understood that in all Vedic literature, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the ultimate goal. When we speak of the Supreme as impersonal, we deny his spiritual potencies. Logically, if you accept half of the truth, you cannot understand the whole. It is only by devotional service, beginning with hearing, that one can approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the only means to approach him. By practicing this regular devotional service under the direction of the spiritual master, certainly one awakens his dormant love of God. This process is called abhideya, which is the practice. If one develops his love of Godhead and becomes attached to the lotus feet of Krishna, gradually he loses his attachment to everything else. Love of Godhead is so exalted that it is considered to be the fifth goal of human life. Prema Pumardama. Pancham Purusha. By awakening one's love of Godhead, one can attain the platform of conjugal love, tasting it even during the present span of life. So one can be in Madhurya Ras, even in one. The Supreme Lord, who is greater than the greatest, becomes submissive to even a very insignificant devotee because of his devotional service. It is the beautiful and exalted nature of devotional service that the infinite Lord becomes submissive to the infinitely small living entity. Because of it, in reciprocal devotional activities with the Lord, the devotee actually enjoys the transcendental mellow of devotional service. So the Lord becomes servant of his devotee. And the last verse we'll read. One's relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, activities in terms of that relationship, and the ultimate goal of life. These three subjects are explained in every aphorism of Vedanta Sutra, for they form the culmination of the entire Vedanta philosophy. So Sambandha, Abhideya and Prayojan. This is there in all the way, every verse of Vedanta Sutra. So that's what Mahaprabhu is saying. So we'll stop here. Any comments? Okay. Thank you everyone. Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining.
Hare
Thank you
Krishna,
for
Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone.
Thank you.